Hey, I'm Rin. Welcome to my channel. I did not realize how forgotten Arlan was until I was trying to make this video, so let's give him a good build to make up for that, shall we? Building Arlan shouldn't be too difficult. I kind of took inspiration from my old builds to make up what he would be like in D&D. He's devoted, determined, he's good with animals. That's quite the personality to work with, and I kind of knew what I wanted from him just off of that. I do kind of wonder why we barely see him though. I guess we don't really see the Herta space station crew a lot, unless they're Herta herself. Which kind of stings, cause you could do so much with them, and yet they don't show up in the story at all. The prologue characters deserve love too, you know? It's not really fair to leave them. But anyway, here's the build for Arlan. I'm also writing the script before I make this video, so let's hope there's enough clips of him, or else I'm going to suffer a lot through this video. Oh no. Okay, there's a few things I want to say about this character. He isn't extraordinary. He isn't argenti or butil or feinen. He isn't destined for great things, or following a greater cause, or traveling the galaxies in the name of an aeon. No, he's simple, he's humble. He spends his days working on the Herta space station and taking care of Peppy. And that's what I actually really like about the earlier characters in the game. They're fairly normal people with fairly normal lives. It makes the universe feel a lot more believable in a strange way. For every Chrysos heir and emanator, there's an Arlan or an Asta working at a space station, doing research and looking out for the people on board. This is also a long-winded way of saying that I made him a human variant, by the way. I added stats to his strength and charisma, and I'll explain his second feat later. For his classes, I gave him 4 levels in Paladin as a protector of the space station, and because of how his skills work, I also gave him 3 levels in Blood Hunter. This also gave him 2 fighting styles, which I chose to be dueling and great weapon fighting, cause he swings the claymore around doing lightning damage. Now let's start with his paladin side first and foremost. I decided to give him Oath of Devotion, which believes in honesty, courage, compassion, honor, and duty. I don't know about you, when I first saw it, I just felt like it fitted him, kind of. He's devoted in protecting the people on the space station, and even if it meant going against Asta's orders, he did whatever was needed if it meant saving the people on board. The subclass came with a channel divinity that can imbue your weapon with positive energy, making it stronger and also shinier. You also have the ability to cause fiends or undead creatures around you to make a wisdom saving throw, lest they are turned by you and are incapable of doing anything besides trying to escape from you and your area of effect. You also have some additional spells too that come with being an Oath of Devotion paladin, but I'll go into that later on. For his Blood Hunter side, I gave him Rite of the Storm because he uses the lightning element. I also gave him the Blood Curse of Purgation, mainly because it technically can be seen as doing damage over time, which is what the lightning element is known for doing in the game. I don't know, I just wanted to try something new here actually. For subclasses, I gave him Ghost Slayer, mainly because it kind of fits the abilities of Oath of Devotion. You have the ability called Rite of the Dawn, which allows you to do radiant damage with your rite, and if you hit an undead creature with this, they suffer extra damage equal to your wisdom modifier. For his ability scores, I'd make his strength his highest, then his charisma and wisdom, depending on if you're going to use his paladin side more or his blood hunter side. Then I'd add to his constitution, his dexterity, then his intelligence will have to be his lowest. This also doesn't need to be said, but if your DM doesn't allow blood hunters at their table, making him a pure paladin is also a good option. For his background, I couldn't really find something that suited him perfectly, so I decided to go with City Watch instead. Close enough to a security personnel, I guess. For feats, the first one I went with is Fiend Hunter, which gives him an increase to whatever stats you wish to add to. You have advantages when fighting a fiend, and any attacks against a fiend does additional 1d4 damage. He really hates the Antimatter Legion, let's put it that way, shall we? The second feat I gave him is Slasher, which increases his strength or dexterity. This is your choice. Once per turn, you can slow down any enemy by 10 feet after you've hit them with slashing damage. And after you've landed a critical hit, you can grievously injure them for 1 turn, causing them to have disadvantages in all attack rolls that turn. For his languages, I picked out the ones I feel like you would hear the most when working. Those being Elvish, Celestial, and I also gave him Dwarvish for weapon experts or engineers that might be there. For proficiencies, I gave him Survival and Medicine for his knowledge in protecting the people on board and tending to the wounded. And I also gave him Persuasion for all the times he had to deal with Asta and her finances. For his magic, he does have 2 innate ones that come with his Paladin subclass, those being Protection from Good and Evil and Sanctuary. Though they aren't spells that are very fitting for Arlan, they are there for you to use whenever you like. For the spells that I did pick out for him, I went with Shield of Devotion, just to keep him alive. It's a pretty good defense spell, I'll just say that much. Heroism is another spell that I gave him. It makes sense for a character like him, who would put himself on the line to save others. Finally, as a good reference to his ultimate, I gave him Thunderous Smite. Now I know it says thunder damage, but let's pretend it's lightning, shall we? Please. For his equipment, I gave him a greatsword and, if you'd like, so long as your DM allows it, a pet dog to act as your companion. It doesn't need to do anything or be capable of combat, but a little peppy to keep you company is always nice. Now onto his backstory. I wanted to do something fun for him, something that suited him but also gave him a push to become an adventurer. A little reason for him to leave his old life behind, you know? So I came up with something. It's not very accurate to what he currently is like in Honkai Star Rail, but it works for me, I guess. I hope you guys like it, and here it is. Complete all tasks as scheduled today. Patrol the northern wall for the afternoon shift. Play fetch with Happy on break. He's a diligent young man, always on the move, always determined to never falter in his step. Without him around, the city would have fallen into ruin in a single day. The people love him. They trust him with their lives. They've seen how willing he can be to throw himself into danger for the sake of the city. And maybe that's why the young heiress had always been so tough on him. She had questioned him many times before, what he wanted to do with his life, if the dull life was truly what he wanted for himself. Miss Asta, you shouldn't be asking me these things. I know where my duties lie. He told her, and the young woman shook her head. What are you doing up so late anyway? You have an early start tomorrow. She responded back with a furrowed expression. I couldn't sleep, so I'm out on patrol. That is all. You're restless, aren't you? His eyes gazed up towards the dark sky, watching the stars twinkle above him. He never understood why she could be so persistent with everything she did. Whether it was spending exuberant amounts of her money on maintaining their city, or fighting for her dear dog that she had had by her side since it was a mere puppy. Miss Asta really didn't want him to stay a city guard forever, did she? He can't be sure if she wished him to see the world, or if she wanted him gone. He can't be sure. But as he gazed out into the horizon, the infinite sky above his head, he decided to see what possibilities she believed was out there for him. A diligent soldier, to a wanderer from afar. She never ceases to cause him trouble, does she? So yeah, I did change the story quite a bit to accommodate a more D&D story to it. I would have done it differently, but at the same time, I think it was important to give him a reason to start the adventure in the first place. Whether or not it works is something I don't think I can really figure out on my own. Of course, if you don't like that, you can always change it to accommodate the story you want to tell, or scrap it completely for the sake of writing your own story for him. That's what these videos are for, after all. Anyway, thank you for watching, like and subscribe if you like. Anyway, take care.